come on, we gotta go. 3, 2...
Oh, wait!
What am I looking at?
Oh, sometimes it takes a second.
I'm still worthy.
Oh boy.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. As you can tell by the intro and by the title, obviously we are making Thors Hammer Mjolnir. This was a relatively simple build because of the flat edges on the hammerhead itself. The only challenging parts was the handle. Now, as you can see, the first step, as always, is to smooth out your flat edges. That way you can attach all your parts evenly, because as much as we'd like to think it is, 3D printing is not a perfect science. So, to get those nice smooth flat edges, you need to sand it with some nice coarse 80 grit sandpaper. I printed my handle in 2 pieces. My handle is not curved, that's just my table is a little bent, so even though it looks a little curved, it's not. But, so put some dabs of super glue on the outer layers and put some E6000 in the middle. E6000, once again, is just that really strong super glue. And the regular super glue on the edge is just going to act as a quick solid so the E6000 can work its magic. Next, we are going to work on the post-processing. So first things first, get on your respirator, and we're going to be using some Bondo glazing and spot putty. I could have used some filler primer, but I knew the layer lines were big enough to the point where it really wouldn't have mattered if I used filler primer. I would have had to put a lot of Bondo on first, so that's just what I decided that I'm doing. So we're not wasting any time with putting on gratuitous amounts of filler primer in order to get some layer lines out. Plus, the only spots I'm not going to be applying Bondo are the high detailed areas, like all the runes and stuff. So next, once you have all your Bondo applied, you're going to pull out your mouse sander once again, this time with a little bit of finer grit sandpaper, about 120, 180, somewhere in that range, to get it all nice and smooth. You could go a lower grit, but that lower grit sandpaper is like an 80 or a 60 would take more stuff off than it would smooth. So if your Bondo smoothing is a little uneven, then absolutely go about applying some lower grit sandpaper in order to get a nice base layer of Bondo. And the handle was a little bit more difficult to sand because it's not exactly smooth. It has those little ridges, but you know, it's pretty simple to get if you actually try. Once the Bondo has smoothened out, you're going to now take some filler primer and you're going to spray that all over the Bondo and all over just everything involving your project. Obviously leave a little bit uncovered so you can set it on the ground, and nothing really more to look at here, so let's move on to the next step, shall we? Now this is a different step that I didn't use last time, and my tripod decided that it wanted to tilt away from everything, so we're just gonna fix that real quick. And basically all I did was put down some dish soap on the project, and obviously some water, and then I used that to smooth out the primer, because the filler primer likes to leave a little bit of a residue on it, so it's not perfectly smooth. But once you can go in with like a sponge, that could be the abrasive side of the sponge or the soft side of the sponge. Either way, it's going to get relatively smooth thanks to the soap and the water that's going to kind of soften up the filler primer. Alright, next day, once all that's set, you're going to start sanding again, because even though the sponge and the water gets everything relatively smooth, you still want to go in with a nice, really high grit sandpaper. I'm talking like a 200, even a 400. I am using a 230 myself. And then after this, I went back and went over with a 400. So you see me replacing the sandpaper. That's because the primer, it's a paint technically. So stuff like paint sticks to the sandpaper pad. So you can't exactly get all the stuff off if you're gonna keep using the clogged up piece of sandpaper. Alright, once everything's all smooth, we're gonna get on to the painting, everyone's favorite part. So for the handle, I started by painting off everything brown. This is just your run-of-the-mill Rust-Oleum brown. No gloss and nothing like that, because obviously Thors Hammer isn't glossy where it's brown. So then after the handle, when we go on to the hammerhead, we want to, it's obviously metallic, and like last time with the helmet's teeth, if you want a metallic finish, you have to start off with the gloss black. I still didn't get gloss black at the time, so I used the regular satin black and put on another layer of clear coat on it. You still get the same effect, it just won't be as reflective, which is kind of what I want anyways for this hammer, because this wants to show like a little bit of wear and tear. This hammer's been used by Thor, so we don't want nice shiny new. Like I said, once again, we're going to just be applying the clear coat onto the hammerhead. It's just the normal Rust-Oleum clear coat, clear enamel. Nothing too fancy, but once again, if you guys are going out and buying all the stuff for this project, I would recommend you guys just buy a gloss black. A Krylon gloss black would work very well for this. But like I said, I didn't have any, and I wasn't about to go out and buy gloss paint just for this project. And now that the clear coat has dried, we're gonna put a regular Rust-Oleum metallic. I keep thinking I'm hearing like birds or squirrels or something out in my backyard, don't mind me. So, nothing too fancy, nothing too unique here, just spray the whole thing down with the Rust-Oleum metallic. It's gonna look very nice, very shiny, perfect for this hammer. And next we got a picture of Thor's hammer up. I don't know why it was necessary for me to do that, when all I had to do was tape all over the brown areas and cut and go back with a X-Acto knife, as you can see here, and cut out the areas from around the ridges. So the ridges can be revealed to the air, obviously, so I can paint them. And once all that's cut, we're going to go back outside, and we're going to spray it all down with the black, and then spray it all down with the clear coat, and spray it down with the same metallic paint that was used for the hammerhead. And now, what is Thor's hammer without the strap that he used to throw it? I went to my local Michael's and just grabbed the smallest in width of leather that I could grab, and just ran it through because it's a relatively small hole, and just glued it together. Had to get my pliers so it could hold the glue together. Since I wanted to make sure it was nice, I used the 6000. Once again, gotta sand our flat edges of the hammerhead and the handle so we can get it nice and flush to work together. And then just like that, there you go. You have your own Mjolnir. I hope this video was fun to watch. I hope this video was really educational for you guys. I encourage you guys to do the same thing, and I will see you next month.